up to, I just let in number 11.
Okay, and we have another 10 in the room.
How many do we need?
And we are recording, ladies and gentlemen, just for you to know. And this is shared live on Facebook and up on YouTube eventually.
Do I have 30 seconds to run to my
Oh,
phone?
absolutely. Yeah. Hi, how you doing? So we're evolving in our work, so we're about half the people are at home and about another half are here, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't know, last month we had, I think, 55 online and 20
In the room.
25 in the room, so I don't know if we're gonna get the the same numbers yet, but see as people come in.
Okay, so while we're waiting to start, we'll wait a few minutes. Let me just get some house rules out of the way. So I just want to remind everyone that we're going to try to be focused. We're going to try to be no fault problem solving. If you're someone who tends to speak a lot, take a little step back, give someone else a chance. If you're someone who usually doesn't speak, we want to encourage you to speak tonight. Open, honest, safe space is what we're trying to create. Listen with open minds, believe in everyone's best intention. We're going to try to be action oriented, decide what we want, when we want it, and plan for that to happen so that we have Fairhaven centered collaboration. We're going to try to start on time, which always means a few minutes for people to arrive, and then on time and honor the agenda. So if you're joining us on the web, obviously you have that connection. Feel free to share the connection with anyone you know that might be interested in joining us. You can do that through Zoom, or you can do that by sending them a text or an email with the Zoom link. We're going to remind everyone who's on Zoom that you should keep your mic muted and use the chat box. We have started the recording, and so we're going to be in a minute or so calling the meeting to order. How are we doing on numbers of people? 19 participants?
Yeah, 19 online right now, and however many are there. And I just want to remind anyone that's in the room, if you are a voting member, please speak up so that I can get you on our quorum check so we can do votes and stuff.
You got me.
Yeah, the ones online, Adam is able to identify easily. If you came into the room and you're, Darlene, could you put a check next to the name of anyone who's a voting member? And that'll make it easier for us to remember. And then as new people come in, we'll just ask voting members to put a check next to their name. And then that's going to go to Adam for recording purposes so we know who can vote.
Now, what is it, 5 meetings? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we're going to be actually talking about later on about a proposal to address those of you that have had challenges with Zoom, because we want to try to be as equitable as we can. Okay, so 19 online. It looks like we're about 30 people now. It is 6:04. Give it one more minute, and then we're going to start. I can't see everyone who's online, so I'm just going to ask, is Diane with us?
If she's not there, she's not online yet. No.
Okay, just want to check. Diane is my co-chair. We have our new recording secretary right here in the room with us. So notes are being taken and they will be distributed. If you have any doubt at all that you are on the list to receive the minutes, or you know someone who should be receiving our minutes but is not receiving them, send an email to fairhavencmt@gmail.com and we will check to make sure you're on the list. If you've changed your email or have a preferred email that isn't what it was, a couple of years ago, just go ahead and check with us. We want to make sure as many people as possible get the minutes. Okay, with that said, I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask the secretary to do a roll call of the board.
Is that me?
Yep.
Well, I guess I can go through here, right?
Right,
Diane's not here.
Diane at the moment is not present.
Lee, you're here.
Present.
Charlene.
Yeah.
Oh, me. Hi. Adam
Present.
and Abby. Can I see her?
Present, here on Zoom.
Okay.
Perfect.
Great, thank you. Okay, so next what we're gonna do is, anyone who is new, who is on, Zoom, please introduce yourself through the chat so our secretary can capture that. And then, Adam, have you been able to establish how close we are to quorum?
We are 7 members shy, so
Oh,
I
okay.
don't think we're gonna hit it unless a whole bunch of people are gonna come in real quick.
Yeah, so keep us posted. We'll move the meeting along. We're gonna now skip the approval of the minutes until we have quorum. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna ask Darlene to come up and she will present our treasurer's report. Darlene?
Hello, everybody. Can you all hear me?
Hi, Darlene.
A little weird.
Yes,
I'm Darlene,
microphone's right there, so they can.
I'm Darlene Casella, in case for those who don't know me. So our report this month is the same as it has been the last couple. Our balance is $5,453.42. We expect a few expenditures for technological equipment. That'll be next, probably by next month, but not too much money. And I did want to make a couple of financial issues. The candy donation. So if you have some spare change or some spare dollar bills, we'd appreciate donations. So we can keep the candy coming for those in person. And that might be an incentive for the people at home to come in to get them good variety of candy. Don't eat the cinnamon ones. Those are, Lee is commandeering the cinnamon.
That's right, we're only really close here.
And then one other agenda item, because many people in the community, or many people in general, some people don't have computer access or use a computer. Kurt has very generously agreed to have some copies of the agenda and the minutes available at the library. So he's going to make copies, keep them in a folder. People who can't access them by computer can come in and read them here, reading them here. And if they want to take them home, they can make copies, but we'll have a few copies available so everyone has access to what we're doing. So pass that along to people who aren't here tonight, and I expect more may come in. We can announce it later. So that's my report. Any questions from anybody? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Darlene. And so we just want to make it clear to folks that if you are unable to access the minutes in any other way, just come a little early to any meeting and go upstairs to the librarian and ask them for the minutes. They'll also have copies of the upcoming agenda. We'll have copies down here. That's just if you want to see it ahead of
Some
time.
on the table tonight.
There are some right now on the table. Okay, so we're moving right along with our agenda. The next item on the agenda is Lieutenant Kumiati. If you would please come on up and give us your report. I'll just remind people at home, please mute your microphones if you're not speaking so that we have 100% just the people who are presenting. Thank you.
Thanks, Lee. Hi, good evening, everyone. If anyone hasn't met me before, I'm Lieutenant Fumiani, I'm the district manager for Fairhaven. I wanted to start off the meeting by saying that there are going to be some changes at the police department. I know everyone doesn't really, people don't really like change, nor do I. So I will be in Fairhaven for the foreseeable future. And so if anyone was worried with the things that were going on, if you don't like me, too bad you're stuck with me for a little bit longer. But if you are happy with the level of police service we're providing, then I'm your guy for at least a little bit longer. So I wanted to probably the foreseeable future, at least another few months or so at least. I wanted to get into the month of June was an interesting month in Fairhaven. We had a couple of incidents that really were concerning. The one that really jumped off the page at me was a triple shooting that occurred in the area of Ferry and Chatham. I'm not sure if you all heard about it, but what happened was a vehicle pulled up to the intersection where a number of individuals were hanging out in the area and fired a number of shots. Shot spotter alerted officers to respond to the area. When officers arrived in the area, they located two people who were suffering from gunshot wounds. They both survived those wounds. They were non-life-threatening wounds. When officers were canvassing the area, they were notified that there was another person that had been transported to the hospital by private vehicle. Officers went to the hospital at 20 York Street, where they spoke with the third victim, who also had a non-life-threatening gunshot wound. That was towards the beginning of the month. As a result of that, we had a high presence of police in that area, including plainclothes officers, DEA, FBI, ATF, a number of undercover officers. And because of that, we were able to locate an individual who was wanted on a number of different crimes in New Haven. Officers responded to that location, Ferry and Chatham Street, where they received information as a result of information gained from the shooting investigation. They received information that there was an individual who we've been looking for a couple of months, who's wanted in connection with a number of shooting incidents around New Haven. Officers were able to safely take him into custody. He was inside Nino's Market at Ferry and Chatham Street. This was at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on June 15th. Officers responded to the area. They set up a perimeter. They were able to identify him, enter the store, and safely take him into custody. When they took him into custody, they removed a loaded handgun from his person, and we were able to arrest him. He was served with a warrant and also charged with a number of different crimes for possession of that firearm. In addition to that incident, there's been some increase in activity in the area of Ferry and Chambers Street. We have had officers out there more frequently, but also plainclothes officers out there more frequently. The plainclothes officers really do targeted enforcement. And so whenever I say plainclothes officers, that generally means our criminal intelligence unit, which is comprised of detectives and officers who are constantly taking information from everywhere, from district managers, from officers, from the anonymous tip line, from anonymous leads, from informants, and they go out and look for people who are carrying guns or are looking to do violence in our city. And so these officers are out in that area on June 12th, just before midnight, when the task force officers are watching a group of individuals. They received information that one of them may have a warrant and that he also may have a firearm on him. While watching the individuals, one of the individuals takes off running. Officers are able to apprehend him, and throughout the course of that investigation, they determined that he was wanted out of Maine. And he had 2 other warrants out of Ansonia. Also on his person was a loaded revolver. And so they were able to seize that weapon, take it off the street. And then in another incident, very similar story, I could have copy and pasted all of these this month. On June 26th, just after 2 o'clock in the afternoon, officers received information that a juvenile was in the area carrying a firearm. When they arrived, our plainclothes officers set up in that area. They noticed a stolen car that they had been looking for that was stolen out of New York. When they set up on that vehicle, they run back some surveillance footage. They're able to see an individual leaving that vehicle. Turns out it's the same person that they're looking for, that they received information that he might have a firearm. When he sees the officers, as they go to approach him, he takes off running. He has a gun in his waistband. As he is apprehended, the officers are able to safely take him into custody and seize a 9mm ghost gun that was loaded in his waistband. Also, during the course of that foot chase, he threw another firearm, and a 9mm handgun was also located along his path to travel. So really, really great job by these plainclothes officers. Listening to intel, following intel, looking for people who are carrying weapons, looking to do violence in Fairhaven. I can't thank them enough. They're out here all the time. They're out here on day shift. They're out here on evening shift. They're following all the information. And so whenever you send me any information about any stolen cars or suspicious vehicles, when we can, we forward it up to them. They do their thing, and they kind of triage that to try to take guns off the street. One of the other things I wanted to talk about is obviously, as the weather has gotten warmer, we've seen a serious decrease in our stolen vehicles. So in the month of June, we had 4 stolen vehicles in Fairhaven. Anybody who attended the meeting regularly, sometimes we have 4 or 5 vehicles stolen in a week for people who are leaving their vehicles running in the winter months for warmups. And so I'm happy to see that we saw a decrease in those. We've also had a decrease in burglaries and pretty much just about every other crime happening in Fairhaven. We've seen a decrease in all of those over the month of June. I know it was tough. We'll talk just briefly about the 4th of July. I know that the 4th of July was difficult. I know there were a lot of fireworks going on. The department was trying its best to keep up with complaints. Officers were able to shut down a party on Blatchley that was getting a little out of hand, that I received some good feedback from community members on. And then they also were able to take care of a fireworks display that was occurring at Ferry and Clay Street, a really large fireworks display. And so officers were able to quell those crowds and get those people moving. Otherwise, a pretty decent month in Fairhaven. We're looking at, I'm really excited for a lot of things that are coming our way. It looks like there's an engagement center that we're looking to launch at the intersection of Grand and Ferry. And so we're really excited about a lot of community partners who've been involved in that. I'm looking forward to that because there's a lot of issues going on Grand Avenue. I've seen it myself. There's a lot of drug use, a lot of drug sales. So what we're doing is identifying individuals who are selling drugs and looking to conduct crime in Fairhaven, identifying them and arresting them while trying to get services to people who are in need of them. And so having this engagement center right in our backyard is a very good opportunity for us to pretty much say, hey, listen, this type of activity is not tolerated in the neighborhood, but if you need help, you can walk right across the street. You can walk a couple of blocks. Our officers will give you a ride to this engagement center where people can help you try to get whatever services that you need. I'm also really excited to try the Fairhaven Oyster Company that opened up on Front Street. I have reservations tomorrow night. If anybody's then, I would love to hear your feedback, but their Instagram looks phenomenal. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them for you. As always, you can reach me on my cell phone, which is 475-331-3180. It's in the agenda, or my email, which is mvfumiati@newhavenct.gov.
Where is the engagement center going to be located?
So where Redenti's package store is at 229
Oh, yeah.
Grand Avenue.
Okay.
There's so the church is willing to work with us. It's actually a retired officer from New Haven who is willing to work with us in that space. Ideally, we're looking at trying to get services for 3 self-identified groups. 1 are the sex workers, 2 are people who are suffering from addiction on the street, and then 3 is people who are suffering from alcoholism, generally the older Hispanic male population that you'll see out there. So we're looking to provide specific services for those groups in an effort to get them some help.
And the store on the corner of Popular and Grant.
Yes.
There's a lot of prostitution, drug, whatever going on there. Because I know I've watched kids get off the school bus towards the end of the year. And if the girls are fighting or the guys are fighting among each other, these small children are like right in the middle of it.
Yeah, I
I
totally.
mean, it's gotten so bad over there.
It really has. Is over the last week, I got a foot chase with a guy who was who I knew usually carries firearms on him. He didn't that day that I chased him. He had a couple of warrants, but I frequently go back there when I can, meaning behind the post office. That all kind of trickles out. So Grand and Poplar, the store, and then it
Right.
trickles to the back side of the post office. I've really been working with the landlord at 214, 230 Grand Avenue in an effort to see what we can do to change that environment because that's really what we're working to do. There's a lot of outreach workers that are working with us to try to get some services to people to get the behavior changed. So between the combination of enforcement and engagement, that's really what we're looking to do over the next couple of months to really change that environment.
Okay.
Go ahead, Robert.
Everything sounds very good, Lieutenant, doing a good job out there, you and the rest of the officers. I always strongly advise, like I like to see, the traffic, a lot, and I've been noticing them a little bit out here doing more.
Robbie, it's almost like you read my book. I had a page just for you. So for 3 days on Ferry and Peck, Also in response to the shooting, I know you want it on Clinton Avenue. We'll work our way there eventually. Officers conducted 41 motor vehicle stops and issued infractions for distracted driving, speeding,
Good.
etc. So I'm working to try to get them over into Fairhaven.
No,
much more.
I've seen them out there. The other thing I wanted to say is, I listened to the New York station sometime, and they said that, those temporary plates.
Mhm.
It's a big scam, and in New York, it's up 300% that they're buying these, plates on the internet, and they're reproducing them.
Mhm.
And, I've always said it to you too, and, about these temporary plates, there's so many of them that are bogus.
There are a lot of them. An interesting piece as a part of the police accountability bill. All of our cruisers have been outfitted with dash cameras. And so what's an interesting piece of that is that they all have license plate readers. And so what that'll allow us to do is as I'm driving down the street, that'll allow, it soaks up all of the plates and it allows for that instant notification of, hey, this plate is bogus. And so that can draw the officer's attention. That goes live, I believe, next week. And so that will increase our ability to enforce that. The officers have a lot of stuff going on. And so if something's digging in your face saying, hey, this plate's bogus, we're more likely to pull over and address it at that time.
Or nationwide.
I'm not sure, Dave, sorry. Dave asked if that was, I'm sorry, go ahead, Adam.
Oh, I was just gonna say you have a question from Liz here on Zoom.
Okay, 1 second, Liz, let me just, Dave's question. Sorry, Dave, what was your question?
So you're reading the data of the plate number. Is the data coming us just from the state of Connecticut or is it nationwide information?
You can choose. So there's about 20 different categories that we can look for, so you can turn it on and off. I'm not sure what our settings are going to be, but so you can turn on NCIC, which is a national database. You can turn on Interpol. So I guess if you were looking for international license plate somewhere, you could have that. So it will be Connecticut and surrounding states, anything that's put into that database. For example, if there's an Amber Alert in Massachusetts and a cop happens to be driving on the highway with their cruiser, and that was set on there, it would ding as the plate went by the cop saying, hey, this is an Amber Alert. So it's much better, honestly, because as a police officer trying to drive, multitask, use the radio, listen to the radio, use the computer, and type in plates, it's a pretty tough thing to do. You really have to multitask pretty well. This eliminates that, which is fantastic.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks, David. Sorry, Liz, you had a question?
Yeah, no problem. Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. So my question / comment is pertaining more towards the Chapel Street Park, or AKA Cosculo Park. I was just wondering what the progress is over there with trying to keep things under control, because last month's meeting, that weekend after June's meeting that we had, my family, like my husband, my daughter and I, were walking to the park, and another family with very small children was walking back home from the park on the sidewalk. And there were not only adults riding on these little motorcycles with without, you know, like on the sidewalk, going up on the sidewalk, and they were adults. They weren't like young kids or anything like that. We saw the police officer was like right there, and they were doing wheelies in front of him and everything, and did not stop any of them. And he just kept going and made a left onto Chapel Street. And then the next day, let's try to go again, and we went again, and none of that was closed off. That has been closed off at the end of the street there, where everything was like shut down to keep people from congregating. And there was, again, adults riding their little motorbikes in the park, like on the grass. So we haven't been there in a few weeks, because I'm not going to go somewhere where these people are just doing whatever they want. I mean, I don't understand that.
Yeah, Liz, I totally understand your concern. What was interesting is if you see things like that, bring it to my attention, because what actually had happened was someone had taken the lock from the gate there. And so usually civilians will lock up the gate there. There's a lot of people that go, and there's New Haven Farms back there. There's, I think, some public works stuff going on back there, Regional Water Authority, the printing press. And so what had happened was we didn't know that the lock was missing. And so all we did was replace the lock. But if it's still an issue, also too, if you see an officer that's not doing something or doing something they shouldn't be doing, just grab the number off the car and give me a call, and I'll address it with them specifically.
Right.
So all the cars have numbers on them, and so we can identify the officers that are in those cars, and I will absolutely have a conversation with that officer regarding just allowing that type of anarchy to happen in their presence.
All right, thank you so much.
No problem.
Lieutenant, question.
Oh, go ahead.
I've noticed over the last few weeks, as the weather's gotten warmer, the number of motorcycles parked in front of our row of barber shops between Clinton and Outwater is now up to 4 or 5. They're all on the sidewalk. And I know that most of the guys, as a matter of fact, all the guys had no intention of harassing women, but they're standing out on the sidewalk. Then the motorcycles are there. It greatly constrains the ability to walk on the sidewalk. It's my understanding that a bicycle lock parking place was offered to them. And I guess it was a misunderstanding with the city because obviously that's not what they want. So my questions are 2. One is it possible to remind the owners of the businesses that they need to tell the customers they can't park their motorbikes on the sidewalk, 1, and number 2, is there a process where we could maybe get one parking space painted specially and designated so that it's for motorcycles, because 4 or 5 motorcycles would fit in one designated spot. But I don't think I've ever seen that in New Haven. I've seen it in other cities. So those are my 2 questions.
1, yes, and 2, I can look into it with traffic and parking. So we had an issue on Peck Street. Sandeep is one of the individuals who works for traffic and parking now. He was very responsive, came out to Peck Street, was willing to work with New Reach and Erector Square on some parking issues and traffic issues in that area. And so I'll see if I can get him on the horn and get him to come out. I don't know why we wouldn't be able to, but that's not my area of expertise. So we can look into it for sure. I think that's a pretty good idea. I'll definitely talk to the barbershop owners though and see if we can discourage that behavior while giving them the option of maybe parking in a new parking spot.
Thank you.
Great.
No other questions online?
I just had 2 quick ones for the lieutenant.
Go ahead.
One was you had mentioned in your report that you're using a lot of undercover police. I was just curious, like what should a kind of just day-to-day civilian do if somebody says, hey, I'm undercover police? Like, how do I trust that that's true? That's kind of question 1. And question 2, I was curious if they're kind of all the news I've seen about the whole Randy Cox thing has been kind of just, their training or whatever. I was just curious if you knew kind of specifically what kind of measures were being implemented in wake of that.
2 great questions. Thank you. The first one, so every time an officer is undercover, when we have plainclothes officers, so when I say undercover, there's 2 different things. So I misspoke. Undercover officers are officers that you would never, that wouldn't identify themselves as officers. And so those are just undercover officers that would never say that we don't have really, I mean, we do, but you're not going to know they're undercover officers. They're not going to be identifying themselves as undercover officers unless like there's some wild stuff happening. If they do, you can always ask to see their badge and badge number. So anyone, are you New Haven officers? Where do you work? You can ask to see their badge. You can ask to see their ID. That's totally fine for you to do. I would record that. And obviously if it's safe to do so. We do have people from time to time impersonating officers. It doesn't happen all that often, but from time to time they do. And so those are things, our officers are, when you see plainclothes officers, so officers assigned to task forces, they'll be in regular cars just driving around. They'll have on usually vests that go over their ballistic vests that go over their clothes. So they'll be in jeans, they'll be in sneakers, they'll be in t-shirts, they'll have hats on, they'll have beards, they'll kind of just look like everybody else. And what they do have is a ballistic vest. Generally it's black and it'll say police, it'll say their name, it'll have their badge number on it, and it'll also say police on the back. If you have a concern, that's another thing to reach out to me. We do have, as you can see, there's I mentioned there was a guy wanted out of Maine. There was a person that had stolen a vehicle in New York. And so we do have other agencies from other towns coming here quite a bit to do investigations, et cetera. But so if you see someone who you think doesn't line up or doesn't match up, if you get that feeling or the hair starts to stand up on your neck, this doesn't seem right, take a picture, record a video, send it to me, call me, and I'll make sure we have a real police officer check them. And if they are an officer and didn't identify themselves to you, then I will also address that with them too. And then the second question is a little bit more of a more difficult question for me with the investigation ongoing. I think what happened to Mr. Cox is a terrible thing. It should never happen to anyone, regardless of what crime you are being arrested for. When you are under arrest with the New Haven Police Department or any police department, you are effectively in our care. We really didn't meet the standards at all for what we should have been doing in those situations. And so we're working to try to get better at that. And so one of the things that we're going to be implementing, myself and another 4 other officers are trained in a newer training that's from the Police Executive Research Forum. It's a national model. It's integrating communication and tactics. And basically what that does is it's a de-escalation platform. If you Google it, it's called ICAT, I-C-A-T. PERF is the organization who does it. They're really the go-to agency around the in the United States for police research. And so what they do is they put together this program. We've had it in New Haven for a couple of years. We haven't rolled it out full force. We'll be doing that within the next couple of weeks. Another thing that we're also trying to do is identify officers who may be having these issues sooner. And so that's always one of our things that we're trying to do is look for officers when they're starting to get burnt out, look for officers that are starting to have complaints at a lower level, try to identify things earlier so that we can work with them, so that we can mentor them, so that we can change that behavior, and really try to have a better police force that is trying to honestly serve and protect. I know it sounds cheesy, but really that's our focus. That's what we're looking at. I'm looking at some customer service things, honestly. I think from if you've been to a number of meetings, people oftentimes complain about that, about officers. Our number 1 complaint in New Haven is rudeness against officers. And so we're really working on trying to get better at that. It's hard, honestly, and I'm not going to make excuses for the officers, but if I work 80 hours a week, and I've been held over a couple of times, which I was held over 17 times last year on the weekend when I'm trying to work. At hour 15, you're probably not getting the best Mike Fumiati that you're getting at hour 1 or hour 1 at the beginning of my week. And that's not making excuses. That's a reality of what we have to deal with and how do we help officers do better, be more accepting, be more compassionate, recognize any bias they may have, address it. That's really what we're trying to do. We're Chief Jacobson is, we've had a lot of meetings over the last few days, but Chief Jacobson has really been talking about procedural justice. I'm sure if you've heard him talk, you've heard him talk about that. And so we're launching a lot of that training. I think I would love to meet offline with some people on that's kind of what we're looking for is like community input on what you think we could do better at, how we could do it better, because historically in law enforcement, we get training from other law enforcement officers. And so that's good for some things. But honestly, if I need electrical work at my house, I don't want a cop showing me how to do electrical work. I want an electrician showing me how to do electrical work. And so that's one of the things that we're looking to do is really just reach out to the community and people who do this stuff really well and help us try to get better at it. I know that's a very long-winded answer. I hope that's good enough for you tonight, Adam, but I'd love to have a couple more answers for you in the coming months. I'm sure Chief Jacobson will have a very robust plan for what we're going to do.
All right, and I think that brought up a question from Mark Jenkins.
Then we have another question after that in the room. Go ahead, Mark.
Actually, it wasn't a question, and good evening is more of a FYI. If anyone hadn't noticed, there is a syringe disposal unit that's generally or has been in the past right there by McDonald's in that area between McDonald's and the parking lot on Ferry Street. Well, somebody ran into it, which jarred it from its location, and then somebody else took it upon themselves to relocate it, I think, to a scrapyard. I I don't know, it just, unless somebody's seen it around, which we'd like to go and, you know, try and have it repaired. Otherwise, actually, I think Jackie's gonna follow up with you, Lieutenant Fumiati, to make sure we can get I guess, a theft report for it, so we can seek to get it replaced.
Sure.
Question in the room?
Go ahead.
Going back to what you were saying before, how many officers are you down based on the amount of officers that we really need to patrol the city? And being that you want more community involvement and community policing, is there an approach about being taken to increase the officers and do community policing and involvement?
Great question, Dave. Could you all hear that at home? Yes, no, maybe thumbs up from anybody? Great, okay. So the, right now, let me think, in 2017, we had 237 patrol officers in the New Haven Police Department assigned to the patrol division to be out taking calls. Now, I believe right now we have 137.
And weren't we supposed to, originally years ago, have like 400 or so?
Correct. We were, so originally we were, I think somebody had us around 450. Personally, I think that's a little high. But don't, I mean, I guess this is a public meeting, so I can't say, don't say that publicly. But I think around 400, I think is a reasonable number, 410, 415. And so we are well below that. I think we might be right around 300 right now. I know I think we dipped right below it. But so yeah, we are very, very down. We are holding officers, like they think they're going home at 3 p.m. from their 7 to 3 shift. We're going to hold 10 officers tomorrow on the evening shift. So they're trying to go home to their families and they're getting forced to work 16 hours. There was one officer, I think I talked about it in another meeting, who was held 47 shifts in a row. So he thought he was going home on Monday. He doesn't go home, he gets held for 8 more hours. Tuesday, 8 more hours. Wednesday, 8 more hours. Thursday, 8 more hours. We have officers who are working the day shift so that if they're evening shift officers, they work the day shift just so that they don't get held for the overnight, so that as human beings, they can have a little bit of control over their destiny here. So we're really struggling with those challenges. Events around the city really tap us with our resources. And so the good news is we've been hiring a ton of officers, or we're moving in that direction. So we graduated 20 officers yesterday. There's another 5 that just are on the final phase of field training. That's 25. I believe we have another 10 to 15 that are slotted to go to other academies. And so we kind of have a full court press on hiring officers and getting them into academies.
And community involvement and community policing, with the approach going to be.
So I think we have to have a conversation with the new chief. He is all about community policing. I have some theories that I would like to get rolling. And so we'll just wait until he gets in his position and he names some assistant chiefs and we kind of settle. But I think that people will be very happy with where we end up in a couple of weeks or months once all the dust settles. I know it's not the best answer, but I'm looking forward to honestly getting a walking beat in Chatham Square. I'd love to have one on Grand Avenue. We're looking for solutions to that. So I think once we get out of July and August are just really tough for us. We're low staffed. People have a lot of vacations and things going on. So officers are taking time off, which they desperately need. And so by the time we get to side profile, Mark driving.
I know.
So by the time we get out of the summer, I think we'll be able to, our staffing will be on the way up. We'll be able to do some more initiatives, which I'm looking forward to. Go ahead, sir.
By their contract, what is the maximum hours they can work?
So it's 16 hours on, 4 hours off, 16 hours on. So that's by contract.
Yeah. And how many days in a row?
There is no limit to days in a row. So honestly, as far as us, so administratively, we officers, so say for example, I'm working 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. Then I get held based on seniority. And so what happens is the officers with the least seniority would then get held for the next shift. So then they are working the 3 to 11 shift. outside of an emergency, like a very emergent situation. That's just a man-armed minimum staffing that we need for police officers on the street. Generally, what we'll do is we'll hold them for 16 hours and then give them 8 hours off. We don't, obviously, you know how that works. If you live 15, 20 minutes away, by the time you get home, you really only get 5, 6 hours of sleep. Then you come back in the next day if you get help again. So the officer who has held 47 shifts in a row, that's terrible.
Pretty tired.
Yeah, they're exhausted. And especially if anybody who's worked overnights, I don't know how you do it. I really don't know how you do it. If you work the overnight, so what happens too is officers work the overnight. So imagine you work 11 p.m. 7 a.m. And then you think you're going home to see your family, to do things with the kids, to do things, appointments you have. Maybe you take your wife or your husband out on a date if that happens, but then you get held over. And so you don't go to picnics, you don't do all this stuff. And then it's really challenging. We've been policing it. It's been a real challenge over the last couple of years in getting our staffing up and getting people who are willing to do the job. So we're working on it. It's getting better. I think right now we're kind of hitting our bottom here, bottoming out a little bit. So go ahead.
In regards to convenience stores, the one on Blackberry Avenue next to the.
Lastly, in Lombard. Yep,
How late can that stay open?
I believe it's 11 o'clock, but I'll have to check. If it's later than that, let me know. What we'll do is we'll send an officer out to write a report. The officer documents it, and then we send it to zoning, and then the zoning enforcement officer will check them on that.
Because I think he has, I don't know if he's open or he just has his lights on a timer, which is quite late.
Okay. If you wanted, if we can talk offline, if you want to go over there and have a conversation with him, or you want me to, I'd be happy to do that for you. See if we can get him to turn those lights off or whatever however we can work that out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're gonna move on in the interest of time. You can text the lieutenant or you can chat to him. He's on his own personal device.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Lee. So just a couple of things, Carmen is next, but just a couple of things before she comes on. One is, I'm gonna ask folks to just keep in mind, folks, everyone can hear you, okay? Just, we need for you to keep your voices down. Everyone, Carmen is coming up next, but I'm gonna ask Adam. We've had no additions in the room. When Carmen finishes, if we're anywhere near quorum, let us know. If we're not, we'll just keep going through the agenda. I'm also gonna ask anyone who's in the meeting, if you're not the speaker, turn off your microphone or else you wind up really big on our screen. And then number two, if you're in a moving vehicle or if you're away from the front of your camera, go ahead and turn your camera off. We won't be offended because again, all the motion that you're making, we can see that in the room. So just put when it's safe, put your camera on dark mode and you'll be able to hear us actually better. With that said, I'm going to turn it over to Carmen Mendez, our LCI staff person, to give us the LCI report. Carmen, take it away.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. I hope you all are doing well and enjoying the warm weather. For my monthly report, I will try to make it as short as possible. Please interrupt me if you have a question at any time. You can also reach me during the day at 203-410-6527. So we're going to go straight to anti-blight issues and conversations that I've had regarding issues in the Fairhaven neighborhood. I don't know if I mentioned to you at the last meeting, we had an issue that Alder Santiago brought up. And that was, there was a piece of property the city owned on Lombard and Downing, and it was open to the public and someone could get hurt. So he reported it to us and we have now since installed a chain link fence and a gate. So that request from the Alder has been taken care of. Alder Santiago also requested that I address the situation at 456 Lombard Street. I had already written a notice of violation and sent it via state marshal the previous week, and now a citation is being issued or has been issued. 456 Lombard Street has been a problem for the community for quite some time, and I get complaints about that piece of property a lot. I also called Stephanie, the property manager of 456 Lombard Street, to alert them that the citation was on its way and the penalties that they were going to face for noncompliance. I participated in a Zoom pre-meeting with Alder Miller, Steve Fontana from Economic Development, Mike Pinto from Corporation Counsel, John Rose from Economic Development, and Lieutenant Fumiati to organize and discuss the issues regarding 118 Grand Avenue. The meeting has been scheduled for tomorrow with Carol Leon, the owner of the plaza. Issues to be discussed include the dumpsters and the areas around the dumpsters, the wall and fence graffiti, the overgrown and unruly bushes, the parking lot potholes, and the loitering and drug dealing in front of the smoke shop. I actually was in the neighborhood today, in the lower part of Fairhaven today, and went to take pictures of the plaza. And unfortunately, I could not enter the plaza. There were so many cars there that I was amazed, because you're only talking the smoke shop, the pizza storage area, and the Chinese restaurant. And there must have been 15 or 20 people in front of the smoke shop doing I don't know what, but it was a really uncomfortable and bad vibe situation. And hopefully we'll be able to talk to the owner of that plaza and have her help us get that situation under control so that people can actually go there and not feel so threatened. I called Pierre Barber, who's the executive director of the New Haven Solid Waste Authority, for assistance in the enforcement of the commercial dumpster regulations at 118 Grand Avenue. He has sent one of his staff members there to look at the situation, and he's going to be speaking with Carol Leon shortly. Also, the update on the 15 Wilcott Street garage that I mentioned a month ago, that still has not been demolished. And Jose Romero is monitoring the progress of that demolition order with Corporation Counsel. The abutting neighbor, Mr. Eddie Rodriguez, is getting very agitated about this and other issues in the area, the Wilcott Exchange Street area, Ferry Street area. And he has communicated those concerns to the mayor's office several times. I have suggested that we meet early next week to talk further on these issues in that particular vicinity of Fairhaven. I've called Jeffrey Pescasolido regarding the broken sidewalk on Pine Street. There is a lift of about 6 inches that occurred from the roots of a tree. It is a really tripping hazard. That will be repaired in August or September due to the current milling and paving schedule. I encourage you all, if you have sidewalks that have been uprooted by trees and there's a real trip hazard, please let me know. Please call me or email me and let me know what the location, the exact location of that sidewalk is, and I will make sure to present it to Jeff Pescasolido. He's very good about this, and we can get a lot of stuff done if people report it. I also spoke to Jeff Pescasolido regarding the underpass on Humphrey and Lombard. As you know, from 2 months ago, I've been talking about the cleaning up of this underpass. It has been very difficult because he's been so understaffed, but he has assured me that he will have it done by the end of the month. They did start to cut down the tall vegetation, and they swept it off, but they just haven't gone underneath the underpass yet. And he's hoping to be able to have done that by the end of this month. He also informed me that there were going to be more trash receptacles being placed at Quinnipiac Park, Quinnipiac River Park. So I guess someone has requested trash cans, and he wanted me to make sure to let you guys know that that was going to happen. I had received many complaints about cars parking on the grass next to the Brewery Street apartments. I had a meeting with Jeff about this. I forwarded the complaint to him, and he has instructed the Parks Department to barricade the area to prevent illegal parking. When that's going to happen, it's been a couple of weeks. I've been waiting for that to happen. It hasn't happened yet, but I called Jeff this morning to get an update, and he said, Carmen, just hold on, it will happen real soon. So that will be a complaint that will have been resolved, hopefully by the end of this month as well. I spoke to a resident in Fairhaven who was extremely concerned about his neighbor's unruly front yard, so to speak, and I issued a violation to that property owner, and hopefully that is being taken care of. I have spoke to Eliza from the Gather New Haven about her community garden on 285 James Street and the illegal dumping that's occurring on the side sliver lot. I called that particular owner of the side sliver lot, Mr. Vincent Cantino, to request that he remove the illegal dumping. He promised me he was gonna do it over this weekend. I was gonna go out today to actually check, but I ended up getting stuck at 212, 214 Clinton Avenue. I spoke with Walter Miller regarding Ferry Street redevelopment project, as well as the Grand Avenue Main Street program. And I have been invited and will be attending their next scheduled meetings. I called the property, talking about 212 and 214 Clinton Avenue. I called the property preservation company, Cypress, to mow the grass and clean the litter and trash at 212, 214 Clinton Avenue. This property is currently vacant, but became a huge problem yesterday for the residents in the area. I have called Cypress again. They showed up this morning. I asked if they have it boarded up, and they promised they would do so by July 15th. Cynthia Rivera and I are scheduled to inspect the northwest side of Fairhaven all day on July 12th. Fairhaven is very, very dense, and there are lots of problems in this small, dense area. So she's busy doing one thing, I'm busy doing another. And what we've decided to do was to join forces and just attack pieces of Fairhaven at a time. I think that that would be the best way of using both our time. Because sometimes she's in one end of the neighborhood, I'm in the other. We cross paths too often. So we're going to be scheduling a day every month so we can take a quadrant of Fairhaven and just complete that quadrant in that 1 month. Let's see. I'm in an appointment with Shawnette James Marquis, who's the homeless outreach coordinator for the city of New Haven, to check on possible new homeless encampments in Fairhaven. She did show up this morning at 10 o'clock. She did visit one of those encampments and gave them 72 hours to vacate the area. Our team will then go, the LCI team will then go in and clean the area up after they leave. Helen Rosenberg from the Economic Development Office called me to ask me to speak to a business owner regarding the condition of their property. I called him twice, but was not able to speak with him. I texted him asking him that he mow his grass and remove the graffiti from all the walls of his building. He responded very inappropriately, leaving me no choice but to write a notice of violation that will be followed up by a civil citation. I spoke with the residents regarding 90 Fillmore Street. I've written them a notice of violation for tall grass, other vegetation on the front side and backyard. And I've also cited them for illegal dumping of bulk trash on their property. I contacted Josh from the State Department of Transportation regarding the removal of illegally dumped bulk trash on the state property near the highway embankment. They did so. I also called, I was driving by and saw the Atwater Senior Center has been looking pretty rough. I called Bill Corona, Department of Parks, and requested the grass be mowed all along in the backside of Atwater Senior Center. He promised me that that would be done no later than the middle of next week. Cases closed. Anti-blight cases closed. I negotiated a payment of $17,000 to the city of New Haven from the owner of 548 Chapel Street who failed to comply with my civil citation. The fine has been paid in full. I also negotiated a payment of $19,300 for the lot on 60 Peck Street, otherwise known as 120 Downing Street. It had not been mowed for over a year. This case had been started by Lori Lopez Anastasio in conjunction with Evan Tracton. I followed up with the case and issued a civil citation. The owner of the lot is contesting the civil citation penalty, even though I had given him a 20% discount plus an additional $780 for cutting the grass and brush the week before. Frank Diamore is now stepping in because he really does have to pay that estimated $20,000. I also settled another case with the city of New Haven for $12,500 for 597 601 Chapel Street. These were actually old cases that have followed me from Worcester Square. Notices of violation were sent to several addresses on Clinton Avenue, several addresses on Ferry Street, 2 addresses on Grand Avenue, 2 addresses on Fillmore Street, and 1 on Chapel Street. Citations were issued on Lombard Street. And of special note, 15 tons of illegal bulk trash were picked up by LCI's Property Services crew in Fairhaven this month. That's a lot of garbage. And that is my report. Does anyone have any questions?
I have one question.
Okay, we have one question in the room. Adam, do you have questions online? Okay,
I see none, but I'll let you know.
okay, we have a question in the room.
There's been a lot of, I guess the businesses on Grand Avenue have been using the trash cans to throw their trash and that's how they're getting rid of their trash.
And some people do that as well.
Right, exactly, and I'm seeing that it's happening more and more, and I see Public Works in the morning picking it up. And then by early evening, the trash cans are full to the brim and they're leaving trash on the sides. The businesses are using that for their trash pickup. Is there anything that could be done about that?
The public space inspectors, I know that that's a problem because I see it all the time. And in the past, what Public Works has done was actually remove the trash barrels because they were being abused by residents and or the business owners. The business owners, when I mentioned Pierre Barber earlier on and Public Works, Jeff Pescasolido, the businesses have a responsibility to develop and submit a site cleanliness area plan. So they're supposed to have a plan for how they're going to remove the trash from their businesses. Residents are always supposed to have their, unless it's more than 4 families, they are supposed to have their blue recycling bin plus their trash can. It's on establishments over 4 families, you're talking about a dumpster, and that's a private pickup. The people who are illegally dumping on these public trash cans, we used to literally go out and open up the trash bag to find out whose trash it is, but we no longer do that. That's actually quite dangerous, actually, because of the bacteria and how sick people can get by doing that. So the public space inspectors they're just fine. They're putting out tickets on people's, they're going in to talk to the owners, business owners, who of course deny that it's their stuff. And of course, no one can tell when they're looking up above, you have 4 or 5 families. It's very difficult to tell who's dumping the trash there. So the most that we can do is have the market crew at this point, because you're right. In the morning, they get cleaned up, and by the afternoon, they're all loaded up again. The market crew goes by there every night. If we have a problem with one specific area that's very, very polluted with garbage, we do send out a special crew to pick up that garbage during the day. But other than that, we cannot and will not put more garbage cans out there because they're just going to be abused. And the issue becomes one of education for people. Lee Cruz and I and Darlene went out trying to educate people on litter prevention. We may have to go back out there again to talk to people about litter again and trash again and the proper disposal of trash. It's a continuous education process. It continues, it does not stop. People do not feel that they have an obligation to their neighbors at all. And it's very hard to inculcate in people, very difficult. I will bring your concern up to Cynthia Rivera tomorrow. If you'd like, please follow up with me at my telephone number 203-410-6527. And just let me know that you're the one who brought up the concern this evening, and I'll give you a response from Cynthia Rivera tomorrow.
Thank you, Carmen, I appreciate it.
There's another question in the room. Are there any questions online?
Abby has a question.
Yes.
We'll
Can
go
you
to
clarify,
and then we'll go to the room.
can you clarify, Carmen, what is at 456 Lombard? What are you referring to when you talk about that?
456 Lombard, it's at least 6 families, 6-family building there. It's a brick building, it's a huge brick building. The dumpsters are always overflowing, and the residents put bulk trash out without appointments, without anything. They just put it out, throw it out on the around the dumpster, on top of the dumpster, wherever. And so those are violations. An additional violation is they've allowed all their grass and vegetation to grow over the fence. I mean, I don't know if you've been there, but it's huge. We don't mind nicely kept bushes. We have no problem with that. It's when it gets to a point where it's a dangerous situation for people. And we're talking, a real dangerous situation, not just it's inconvenient. So they have been cited. They were cited. I gave them a notice of violation, citing them for, I think, about 5 or 6 things. And they did not comply.
Go
So
ahead and you can
I
answer
gave them
the
the citation.
question. at that because we want to just kind of keep it moving here. So there's a question in the room.
Yes, I had the blue bin and the brown bin stolen. How do you get a new one?
Oh, man, that happened to me before.
Stolen,
Okay, you can,
how to get a new one.
That's cool.
you can always call Public Works, and their number is 203-946-7700. You put you leave a message on that line and you let them know that your trash bin has been stolen, your recycle bin has been stolen, that you need replacements. And leave them your name and number so they can get back to you, because sometimes they don't have them available, so they'll have to tell you what you can do in the meantime.
Okay, any other questions online? I don't see any questions in the room. Carmen, thank you very much for that very detailed report. We appreciate it. We're gonna keep moving. It doesn't seem like we have reached quorum, so we're gonna keep things moving here. Let me just put this on gallery view here. Okay, so just wanna, before we go to economic development, just wanna remind folks that normally in this period, quarterly, we will have a civilian review board report by Jawan Carter. If you have any questions about anything that a police officer has done that's being investigated, Jawan Carter is our representative on the civilian review board. His email, contact information is on every agenda. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Okay, with that, Kathleen Froelich from Economic Development, are you in the house? I see you. Go ahead, Kathleen.
Hi, yes, I'm here. Hi, everybody. I have just brief updates from Mike. And one, and they're all good. So one is the ARP funding, the approval for that money. We hope to have that approval shortly. The responsibility for that approval sits with the alders. And the ARP is, the American Rescue Plan, and part of that money is allocated to commercial corridors like Grand Avenue. So that's good. And LCI and economic development are in the pre-development stage for townhouses at Lloyd and Grand. Actually, I think this has come up in this meeting before. So now they're in pre-development, which means they're looking at the design and some gap financing to make sure we can obviously get it built. There's 6 units in total. So they're 2 families, so it'll be 3 new homeowners, but 6 new residential units added. That's all the updates I had. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Questions about economic development? I see none in the room. Any online, Adam?
I see none.
Okay, thank you very much, Kathleen. We appreciate that. So now we've concluded the people who normally speak to us. We're going to go into our section where we have people speak to us, various reports. I know there's at least one person in the room that would be doing that, as well as some people online. So let's get to it. The first item is actually not a presenter, it is a vote.
All right.
In the previous few months, we've had presentations by a woman whose name is Marsha La Feminine. Her company is Penn Globe, and they would like to establish a training center for manufacturing here in New Haven. In order to do this, they're getting support from the city, the community foundation where I happen to work, and also they're seeking funding from the state. In order to do that, they must establish a board. And in order to do that, they would like to have a representative from our neighborhood. This has been brought up at the last meeting and the meeting before, just to keep everybody in the loop. I'm giving this summary right now. So what we need to do is officially vote someone in, say we, the Fairhaven management team, want this person to represent us. The person who has stepped up to the plate is Dennis Silvestri. And Dennis, I believe you're online. There he is. Dennis, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself. And could you tell us what I can say, but I'd rather you say why you're particularly qualified to be our representative for this, what your background is, what you do.
Well, my background, everybody hear me all right?
Yep.
Good. Yeah, my background dealing with Fairhaven is born and bred here. 75 plus, and I'll stop right there, but 75 plus years in Fairhaven, and about 70 of those right here on Lloyd Street, where I was born and raised. I came back in about, I think it was 79, to help out my mom when my dad passed away. And again, I've been here ever since. My current field is vocational education and the heating and air conditioning and refrigeration field. I've got 40 plus years in vocational education, part of which is involved with the apprenticeship organization up in Hartford, the State Apprenticeship Council. And that's one of the things that Match is doing with their manufacturing training. They're going to be dealing with apprenticeships, so I'm fully aware of that. Again, my field as a heating cooling contractor, both what is called in Connecticut an S1 and an SM1 heating cooling licenses, my state of Connecticut vocational teaching certification, and a number of other things that I do with some other organization involved with education down in Virginia, I think allows me to work well with Match as a representative of the Fairhaven community team.
Great, thank you very much. Appreciate that explanation. So you can see why he's uniquely qualified. I have to ask, for the purposes of process, is there anyone else who would like to volunteer to be possibly elected for this position, either in the room or online? Is there anyone else that would like to nominate themselves for this position? And I'm gonna follow the protocol as one last time. Is there anyone who would like to volunteer? And seeing none, then what I'm gonna do is I wanna turn it over to Adam, who's gonna explain how we're gonna vote. Now, there's a two-part process, because Adam can quickly go over the online, the way we've been doing it. But then there's gonna be a process for the people who are in the room. So Adam, would you please explain that to us?
Yeah. We actually have two issues we're voting on tonight. We haven't covered the second one yet, but I will show you the share screen real quick. We have a Google document that everyone online or in person, if you want, you'll get a link to this in the email. You can fill out just your name so we can check that you're a voting member. And then this first question is regarding Dennis. You can say yes, no, or abstain. And then the second question we'll get to later in the meeting. I'll provide the link to this. Anyone online can answer this. Anyone in the room can get the link to this from the email follow-up that'll come. However, and also you can see here online, we'll accept your votes until Tuesday. If you are in person and you're not, you don't use the web that much, you don't, want to fill out an online form, feel free to submit your votes to Christina, I believe is going to be counting them this evening. Unfortunately, you'll have to decide which way you want to go, yes, no, abstain, on both of these issues in the room as we do the meeting, because we can't really just come to your house and collect your vote or anything. But you can, so if you're in the room, you can give it to Christina, or you can, if you're online or in the room, you can submit this online form, and I'll put the link in the chat as well as it'll appear in the follow-up email to this meeting.
Oh.
So at the end of the meeting, regarding these two questions, if you don't want to have any other further hassle than tonight, take your agenda. On a piece of the agenda, you can clearly write your name and your vote for each of these positions, and that will only go, I will not touch that, that will only go to our secretary. She will count those, she will give them to Adam. Adam will add those to the votes that are done online. And then when you get the minutes the next time, there'll be a report that will say, this is how many people voted. This is how many, this is, the affirmation on both of these votes. Is there any question? Yeah, voting members only, 5 meetings you have to have attended.
And
Okay.
Adam is gonna send us the link to vote online
If you're online, even on your phone,
on my phone.
yeah, then that will be, put in the chat. So you will be able to see it on the
Right,
chat.
so if you're logged into Zoom on your phone, you'll be able to access it now. If not, I'm going to send it via email, and then you'll be able to access it on your phone, and you'll have until the 12th to do
He'll send it afterwards. Okay.
And if neither one of those things is
work,
true,
then we'll take it.
because then we'll take a piece of paper from you with your name. And again, make sure that you're a voting member. We'll check that, and then your vote will be counted. Okay, so that is that report. Then we're gonna move along here. We're gonna move into the next section that has to do with responsive government, economic and community development. And we have nothing in the agenda for that category. I'll just remind people on Zoom and in the room that the categories come out of the planning retreat we did back in 2019, where we categorize things. So that's why we always check each of these areas. The next area is immigration, environment and immigration. And in that category, we do have a presentation by Soshil. You have to come around to the front here. And so there's wires both ways now, so you just be careful there when you're stepping up. Okay, and then please go ahead and speak.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sochid, and I am a resident of New Haven. And this is my first CMT meeting, so I'm glad to be here. I am working as a consultant through Save the Sound, and one of my duties this summer is to facilitate a 6-week program for 10 Fairhaven residents. We'll be identifying various assets or hazardous areas in Fairhaven. So essentially, the point of it is to create almost like a photography research project. And we will be using this documentation to create a report, which will then be submitted to the state. And hopefully we'll be able to pump in some grant money and potentially improve spaces throughout Fairhaven. So right now I'm in the recruitment phase. I have 3 people so far that are enrolled, so I would like 7 more. And we pay for your time, $20 an hour. In addition, you will be trained on site with basic photography skills, learn about environmental leadership skills, and yes, it's 2 90-minute weekly meetings. So right now we have scheduled the 3rd week of July to have this class either on Monday or Wednesday. We're still finalizing on the specific date, but it will be Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 o'clock to 7:30 as of right now. If anyone has any questions, I'm open to answering them.
How young can people be participate?
Yes, ideally 16 and older. We do provide childcare, but those who are active participants in this program should be in the later high school ages just because of transportation and liability reasons. And if you are exclusively English or Spanish, we will be making bilingual accommodations for that. I see that Abby has her.
Abby, yes, yeah, go ahead, Abby.
Sorry, I was muted. I'm very curious about this. Thank you so much for coordinating. If people are going to be away, like say 1 or 2 of the weeks during that time, are they eligible or are they ineligible? And do people also get paid for the weekly meeting times?
Yes, they do. So as for being away, we do understand that they might not be 100% at every class. We will provide supplemental material, but we do require people to be at least 80 to 90% attendance rate.
Got it. Thank you. That's very helpful.
I see no other questions in the room. Any questions online, Adam or Abby? Okay, we don't see any. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And just watch yourself there. Okay, great. So now we're moving on in the agenda, and I just want to put this in the gallery view. So the next category is health, housing, and public safety. And our first speaker is Dr. Sue Lagarde from Fairhaven Community Health Center. Sue.
Yes, good evening, everybody. This is about our proposed parking lot expansion, and I'm going to turn it over to Dominic Serafin, who's going to update everybody on where we stand.
Thank you, Sue. Let's see, let's make sure. Share my screen.
Yeah, you had it on, but then it cut out.
Oh, did it cut out? Okay, let me get that back going. Okay. Okay, I think that's working. All right. Thank you. Last month we were here also giving you an update. And Sue, I'm going to turn it back to you just to give a little brief update of the excitement we had yesterday at Fairhaven.
So yeah, it was a very, very memorable day yesterday. So the picture you're in front of you is the Secretary of Health and Human Services, Javier Becerra, who came to Fairhaven and specifically to the health center, mainly to kick off a campaign for vaccinating children under the ages of 5, so between the ages of 6 months and 5. He was incredible. He spent about a 30-minute tour of the clinic, spent time talking to our staff. He's himself Latino, and had multiple conversations with staff members, either in English or in Spanish. And you can see here, there was then a press conference where he spoke. You can see Congresswoman DeLauro behind him to our right. And you can see on the left, our own Dave Weinreb, who I know is on this call, and his wife Marlena, and their 6-month-old child Dahlia, who actually had received her COVID vaccine literally about 2 to 3 days after it became available. She received it at our health center, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful day. And it was a wonderful opportunity to showcase Fairhaven. The emphasis was really about the community of Fairhaven. And I have to say, I really think it resonated with him because, as I mentioned earlier, he's the child of immigrant parents. He's fully, he's Hispanic. His undergrad was at a college in Spain. And he's just an amazingly warm, thoughtful individual. And the fact that he would come and spend what was nearly 2 hours at our health center was really remarkable. And we got a lot, although the topic was about COVID vaccines in young children, we talked about everything from gun violence to healthcare for all, the whole gamut. And it was great. And I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Also in the room, I believe, is Oliver Gaffney with TPA. And so our civil engineers on the project. Last week, we gave an update. This is our campus on Grand Avenue. And the question that's going to be up for vote today is we'd like a letter of support. This is the latest rendering. We've gotten input from both our staff and on the drawings, and I'll let Oliver talk a little bit more about it. This is the summer drawing with the foliage on the trees, and this is a bit more like a winter drawing without the foliage, so you could see the areas of it. A couple things that you'll notice is there are no parking spaces in the these 10 spots are empty. That requires a zoning change in order to put the 10 spots there. That is considered the front lawn of the properties that are there, and there is no parking on the front lawn without the zoning change. And then what we have here is 57 parking spaces. And if Oliver can talk a little bit about the design specifics on it, where the light poles are, et cetera, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you, Dominic. Again, for the record, my name is Oliver Gaffney. I'm a resident of New Haven for TPA Design Group on Willow Street, and I'm working with Fairhaven Community Health on this project. So thank you, Dominic, for just laying out the facts a little bit. The plan has changed a little bit since the last time we spoke. He highlighted the change sort of in the, looks like the backyard for the clinic. It's actually the front yard of Woolsey Street. Those parcels are still zoned residential. There is language in the city regulations that preclude any parking of vehicles in what is called the front yard. So Community Health is going to be working on rezoning those parcels to match the health clinic. That's sort of a later step. So what we're doing in the interim, because we're going to the Board of Zoning Appeals next week, is we're going to create this temporary little area. It has some boulders. They're not forever and for always boulders. There's just something we can put there so that it's not a parking space in the short term. There's a little bit of grass, let the water soak in that area. And when we get permission from the city to build the parking spaces, it's not a big deal to come in and build those spaces. So that's the first thing I want to point out. That would give us a total of 10 extra spaces or 67 spaces, which would be ideal. Other things that this plan does for the health clinic that is exciting, as Dominic was saying, there's going to be lighting in the parking lot. We discussed this a couple meetings ago. It's going to be what's called dark sky or full cutoff optics. Carmen Mendez had mentioned, there's often problems in the neighborhood with light getting left on overnight. Nobody can go to bed because it's, you can read your newspaper in the middle of the night. So what we're doing here is we have a couple of light poles. They're set at about 12 feet in height, relatively low to the ground to keep the light on the drive aisles, on the parking spaces, but not necessarily anywhere else. We're also going to be using what are called dynamic lighting controls. Essentially, if it's summertime, it's 9 o'clock, the lights aren't automatically on. It knows exactly how much light is in the environment. It's 4:30 p.m. and it's just middle of December, the light will come on. And we also have potentially the ability to dim it to say 50%, 40% in the middle of the night when nobody's in the parking lot, so that there's still enough lighting for security, but it is not going to be as bright as say the Seatown or McDonald's or some of the other parking lots in the neighborhood. Other things on the plan that have changed that you might notice is it looks like we have like candy corn going on in the parking spaces. It is not candy corn, but it is a city regulation that pertains to the urban heat island. We are going to be using a product or a style of coating called Street Bond, which is going to help reflect heat on the pavement. So we can use basically whatever color we want, but since this is a family-friendly healthcare facility, we're proposing to use a mix of colors. Something fun, so when you're looking out the window, it doesn't look like a parking lot, which is kind of what it is. But these are designed to shed heat, reflect light, and make it a cooler place to park and to walk. We have, Dominic, if you can go back to the other version, sort of the summer foliage. Prior plan, Dominic?
Yeah, I hit that. You're not seeing it?
Okay, so just squint really hard and imagine there's foliage in the circles. There we go. So we also have a number of trees, particularly along the property lines. These are deciduous trees. We want to make sure that it's a filtered canopy. Somebody who is looking in at the site might have some security concerns, safety concerns, can see who's in the site. They're also going to be fairly high canopy trees. So you will have at pedestrian level, branches above your head and clear visibility to the ground. Along each property line, there's currently fencing, solid or semi-solid privacy slat fencing. We're going to maintain that. That's going to keep the car headlights from shining into neighboring yards. We're also going to repaint and plant along those fences so that will be sort of a softer, more neighborhood feel to it. Stormwater management. Ideally, this is going to be sort of out of sight, out of mind, but we are going to celebrate what rainwater can do to water some of these plants. There will be a small rain garden at the bottom of the parking lot. It's something that Save the Sound had suggested. And we're also going to be channeling most of the runoff into 2 tree cells, essentially catch basins that are containing trees. And that's going to help them grow big and healthy and strong. So in terms of the vote that is coming up, there are 2 things that we're going to be asking the Board of Zoning Appeals. First is, as Dominic was alluding to, is the number of parking spaces. There are 57 spaces that this plan provides. Under city regulations, we would be required to provide at least 64. So we're going to be asking for a variance on that. And that is something that the city has discussed with us and feels is a reasonable compromise, especially given that when we do the rezoning, there will be 67 spaces and it will comply. So that is the first ask. The second ask is to do what is called transition parking, which is within the city regulations. It allows for parking in support of a business or institutional use on land that is residentially zoned. So the Woolsey Street parcels are residentially zoned. We're going to be providing parking on there. City plan staff did not take exception to that, and that's just a cursory ask of the Board of Zoning Appeals. But because it encumbers the land with a non-residential use, it is also a chance for the community to speak out either in favor of, which is what we're asking you to do, or to raise other concerns about the land. So those are the two things that on Tuesday, we're going to be going to the Board of Zoning Appeals to ask about.
And if I can just point out also, Oliver, our employees have given us feedback on areas to eat outside, picnic tables. And so we will have some of the green space there, having some picnic tables available for employees. And then then the dumpster, there's also a dumpster. We talked about trash. We do have a dumpster on site, and that's near the loading area that's away from some of the green spaces.
So we're going to ask you to kind of sum it up because you've exceeded the time, but just make your point so that we can quickly ask if there are any questions and get to the vote. Thank you.
Sure. These are the dates. We'll stop here. June 17th, we submitted the applications. July 12th is the BZA meeting public hearing. And then it's an August date to be determined. The City Planning Commission also hears this. And I noticed the vote won't be closed until midnight on the 12th. So, I'm not sure whether the support will be forthcoming, but that's the.
I can change that deadline, just move it up a bit so that hopefully we can get it to you, no problem. I don't think, 3 days versus 4 days or whatever is a big change.
Okay, I'll stop here. And I'll send these slides to Adam and Abby to distribute.
Thank you very much. Any quick questions in the room? Let's try to keep our questions brief and answered even briefly. Go ahead.
Yeah, this property here, you're going for the zoning for parking, or is this a facility you're putting up?
It's an existing health center. So it's just for parking. There are 3 buildings that on Woolsey Street that will be coming down, the properties we own, and then parking will be replacing that. And so that's the ask of the city.
That's those buildings that are coming down?
It's I believe the numbers are 87, 85, and 83 Woolsey.
Yes, that is correct.
87, 85, and 83? Yeah. Okay,
Thank you. Any questions online?
There's a question in the chat. There's a question in the chat if somebody wants to respond to that.
I'll read it aloud. Gina has security concerns due to the number and height of trees for those that use the parking lot, especially during the winter when it becomes dark early.
Oh, the height.
Who's going to address that quickly, please?
Sure. Oh, sorry, Dominic, I'll let you.
Yeah, no, go ahead, Oliver.
So the way we have the lighting set up is such that it is essentially in front of trees. It's not getting blocked by branches. And we've calculated exactly how bright the lights will be and how much light will be on pavement surfaces and parking spaces. It's going to be fairly bright out there, and they're going to have the ability to control it, using the controller that I spoke about, to increase light levels. If it is, say, too dark and they're trying to be a good neighbor and dimming it at certain times of night, and there's a need to have more light or to have light come on, say, when somebody walks into the parking lot, that's something that Fairhaven Community Health is going to have the ability to do.
Thank you.
And then Carmen may have a question.
Yes, I have Actually,
Briefly, Carmen,
what-
please.
the dumpster, where will it be located and when will it be picked up? Because you still have neighbors and people who live in the area. So I'm concerned that they'd be picking up the dumpster at 5 o'clock in the morning, for example.
Yeah, it's the dumpsters that we currently have, and they're currently located in that area. And they're picked up in the morning before the clinic opens.
So there's no change. The answer is there's no change, Carmen. It's exactly the way it is. If there's a concern, I'm sure residents will come to you with it. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, so thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. And so now we're going to.
Can I, Lee, I just want to just reinforce that we're hoping for a vote on this, and it's part of that link that's been provided by Adam. And we're hoping for that. And with a closing time, I guess, of midnight on Monday, Adam?
I changed it to Sunday unless nobody has
Okay.
objections. I feel like the rest of tonight, all of Friday, all of Saturday, all of Sunday, that should give everyone plenty of time. If anyone has other feelings, let me know, but that should be good, I think.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Lagarde. Okay, so moving right along here on our agenda, we're going to go to the Yale School of Medicine Fairhaven Food Security Focus Group. Mariana?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Mariana. Can everyone see this flyer?
Yes, we can.
Awesome. So I'm a fourth year medical student, but I'm coming to you all tonight in my capacity as a member of the Fairhaven Food and Security Working Group in order to discuss an opportunity for Fairhaven residents to share their experiences accessing healthy and affordable foods in your neighborhood. So this group's a collaboration of clinicians at Fairhaven, medical students, a nutrition counselor, and retired faculty from Yale that are hoping to gain a deeper understanding of current barriers to purchasing food within the Fairhaven community. And the ultimate goal is to learn more about the current state of food access, what challenges currently exist, and with the ultimate goal of informing and designing an intervention to overcome these barriers. So to accomplish this, we'll be holding 8 one-hour discussion groups for anyone that is interested, that is a resident of Fairhaven. These will take place on Tuesday evenings from 5:30 to 6:30, starting on August 2nd. We're hoping to gather a group of 4 to 8 individuals per session. All individuals will be provided a $50 gift card for their time. And we'll also have transportation and childcare available for anybody that might require that in order to attend. Again, our goal is to learn from you all and see what ideas you have to improve the food access. So if you're interested, you can fill out the sign up form, which I will put into the chat. Additionally, you can call the phone number that I'm also putting into the chat and leave a voicemail with your name and contact information. And a member of our team will reach back out to you to schedule you for one of the groups. And the other option is that you can reach out to us via email, and I will put my email address in the chat as well. So I was also asked to reflect on how I'd like you all to respond to this presentation. And ultimately, we would love to have participation from as many individuals as possible and to have a varied representation of individuals from the Fairhaven community. However, we also appreciate any feedback to our project. For example, if you have thoughts about the utility of the project or the feasibility of our sign-up process, we're definitely all ears. And I'll be available for any questions, but thank you for your time and having me.
Okay, great. Any quick questions from the room?
I have a quick question.
There's a question right here in the room.
My first question was, you said it kind of quickly, how many people do you want per group?
The goal is 4 to 8 people per group, and we'll be having 8 groups.
Okay, and my second question is, just to be clear, you want us to share our experience in accessing food within the community, correct?
Yes, exactly.
Once you find out that information, like what's the ultimate objective?
So the ultimate objective is to create an intervention that will hopefully address any barriers that are present within the Fairhaven community. And we really don't want to go in with any preconceived notions of what that would be, and what the barriers are, what you are all hoping to kind of improve in terms of food access. So definitely very open to any ideas that you all have. But yeah.
Any questions online? I can't see everybody.
Yeah, there is one from Maureen.
Okay, Maureen, please. I mean,
Couple of questions. Mariana, is there a place where that flyer is available to post on our church Facebook page?
Absolutely. I can put it in the chat.
Okay.
Actually, if you place your email in the chat, I'd be happy to email it to you.
Okay. And then secondly, you know, there are groups already in Fairhaven that do a lot of food rescue and food collectives and whatever. How is that going to play out within these discussions? Are you trying to find out if people are aware of those opportunities also?
Yeah, I think something that would be important to know is if people are aware, if they access those, if there's any barriers to accessing those. I think it's the main goal is to get an overarching view of how people are obtaining foods, you know, if there's any barriers to obtaining specific types of foods, for example, healthy food, vegetables, fruits, and what changes, if any, they would like to see within the Fairhaven community.
Okay, great. Thank you.
thank you. Any other questions?
Just a quick note, when we move on, Shantasia has just joined us from Save the Sound. I think she had the incorrect link, and she has like a 1-minute update on Haven and Exchange that was meant to go with Xochitl's update, but she can, if she has 1 minute, we can fit her in.
Under the announcements. We'll go ahead and fit it in under the announcements at the end.
Okay.
I just wanted to Mariana say, make sure in addition to all the different agencies that are providing food, this is a high priority for the United Way. You want to make sure you're talking to the United Way of Greater New Haven. They actually have a great initiative around food security. And you want to also talk to CARE, Community Alliance for Research and Engagement, originally at Yale School of Public Health, now it's Southern. They have already done baseline work on hunger in Fairhaven from a few years back that may be helpful to you. With that said, I'm actually going to turn it over now thank you, Mariana. I'm going to turn it over to Kurt for his report, but he's going to do it from his office. So even though he's here at the library, you're going to see him on the screen through the miracle of technology. So Kurt, take it away.
My seat is a little more comfortable here than in the other room. Hey, there is a lot going on here, and if you don't believe me, the folks who are here in person knew that there was a Latino music concert going on at the same time upstairs. So we are just chock full of things that are going on. But I'll lead with the food insecurity based on the presentation that just took place. If you come here, it depends on whether it's a Monday or a Tuesday, depending on whether we've had a holiday. But we have our own garden here in the rear of the library. A lot of people don't even realize it's there. But I see Marianne and Sally on, but they and other volunteers bring in a harvest each week of fresh, can't get any more fresh, veggies and herbs grown right here at the library, and we put them out, and you can take as much of whatever has been harvested that week for free. And we've started to combine with that a bread delivery. It's wonderful Chivasso bread from Haven's Harvest. And so you could be well on your way to completing your dinner by just stopping in in the library early in the week. And adding to that, starting later this month, July 20th, Common Grounds Mobile Market returns to our front lawn. That is a paid market, and we encourage everyone to come, but primarily we tend to end up serving people who use food benefit programs. So if you know someone who's in need of fresh produce, let them know about the market coming to our front lawn starting July 20th, the third year. Also coming to the lawn, beginning this Wednesday, we're working with the State Department of Public Health to have a vaccination clinic. The clinics will be Wednesdays and Mondays, starting the following Monday. They are looking specifically to target folks who are 6 months of age up to 11, a target group that's been difficult to reach and has only come more recently being eligible to be reached. But they will vaccinate anybody 12 and up as well. Those will be afternoons, Wednesday 1 to 5 and Mondays 1 to 5 right here on our lawn. A new service that we're providing space for, and you may have seen it for the first time this past Friday. They will be back here tomorrow again. They use our part of the parking lot because we're not here on Fridays. But the mobile shower van is coming to serve folks who are in need and may not have bathing facilities somewhere else. It's a very cool van that has showering facilities inside. It will be here Monday mornings from I believe it's about 8:30 up to about noon. So spread the word on that if you know someone who needs that service. We're planning on having it here throughout the summer. Also, this Saturday, if you haven't been down to the river to see all the oystering that's going on or visited the new Fairhaven Oyster House, you can come here Saturday at 11. Local historian Joe Taylor will be doing a presentation on the history of oystering in New Haven, not just here in Fairhaven, but City Point too. He has a big collection of old postcards and photos that show this really important industry to our neighborhood and city. You'll learn all you ever needed to know about oysters. Another program that starts this coming week, we will be hosting the New Haven Pride Center, who will be doing a weekly program starting at 11:30 for teens, and it will be running through August 15th. Again, if you know teens who would be interested in that, have them come along. We're also cranking back up our pre-K stay and play program, which had been a staple of our events pre-pandemic. Our youth librarian Jenny runs those. For any pre-Ks, there's a story, there's songs and activities, and they are each Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. You can also find out more at that point about our summer reading challenge for both kids and teens. It's your typical summer reading programs, but you could be eligible for some prizes. I know you heard from Sochi earlier. We are working with her and URI to spruce up our front lawn with some indigenous plantings. That's a very exciting project. If you are interested, let us know, or Zoshi, and it's going to be an opportunity to have everyone enjoy our lawn even more than it is now. And I think finally that's it. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Sounds like the library is quite busy, Okay, well, in the interest of time, we're gonna move along. Any quick questions? No questions here in the room, no questions there. And just checking with you, we did not make it to quorum, is that correct?
We didn't? Okay.
Actually, let me double check. Unless somebody showed up.
Adam, I did show up. I don't know.
Yeah, Dave, I think
everyone.
you put us one person shy. So, yeah, we got 24 out of the 25 necessary.
Sorry.
So let's move on. We'll handle it next month. Of the alders, I don't believe we have any with us. Let me just run through Alder Cupo, Decker, Festa, Miller, Santiago, Crespo. None are with us, but I believe Abby, you have a report.
I do, and I'm wondering, there aren't any time-sensitive announcements on the report. In the interest of time, could I send that out on the e-blast instead?
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Okay, great.
Good.
And everybody, that'll come out tonight.
Yep, and also know that Living Wars 14, Sarah's report is available to you directly from her as well. Okay, so with that, let's slip right into the announcement we know that we have from the person from Save the Sound, let's go right to that.
Hi, everyone. I'm Shantasia, the watershed liaison with Save the Sound. I just wanted to touch base about the parklet that we just opened up. We have a feedback poll that we would like a lot of community members to fill out. If you have the time, we are in the process of naming the park, of course, but also finding some programming that the community would like to be involved in. So your input is definitely necessary, as this is our park together. So I will drop the link in the chat, and just wanted to say thank you all, and I hope you are able to stop by and see the park for yourself.
Just remind us where the park is located.
That is on Haven and Exchange Street. It's a huge mural on the side of the building, so you'll be able to see it from there.
Great, thank you very much. With that, are there any announcements, very brief announcements that anyone online would like to make? I don't see any. Adam, Abby, do you see anything?
Nope,
Okay.
we are all set online.
Okay, here in the room, any announcements that anyone would like to make? I don't see any. Okay, so we have reached the end of our meeting. We think it was a successful one. We want to thank everyone who has attended. And don't forget, we'll be meeting again the first Thursday of whatever next month is, August. Will be. And be on the watch. We'll see what the health conditions indicate as to how it will be the balance of Zoom and being live. The incentive to come live is that we'll have some candy, right, Darlene?
A wide variety.
With that, wait, I have to wait, folks. I have to ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Darlene,
I so move.
and second.
Oh, I want to go home.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Second from Sally Marianne. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.